you very much. That finishes the music for tonight here at the Black Hawk. Thank you. And I want to thank you for being here on behalf of Richie Camuco on tenor saxophone, Joe Gordon on trumpet, Monty Bedwick on bass, Victor Feldman on piano, and myself. We hope to see you again soon during our stay here in San Francisco. Good night.
That's strange, isn't it?
It was a strange ending. It sounds to me like it was an edit. They probably, you know, that's still the days of don't put more than 20 minutes on a side.
Yeah.
And
He wouldn't have ended like that, would he?
no, that just stop and just like that. No, they would have gone back and played the out chorus.
Yeah.
Normally. So they probably had to make a cut listening to the, when you do live taping, you don't really pay attention, and everything is usually longer. So they probably had to, he said, all right, we'll just end it there. I'll make that's a scissors cut on the tape, So it sounds like to me. Then they put his little thank you. Because that was, there was 3-4 volumes to that record anyway, so I mean.
That was called A Gem from Tiffany by Bill Holman.
But again, it was a great solo. I mean, he was a marvelous, inventive, creative soloist. And did you notice how he and Monty Budwig really, really locked in?
Yeah.
Locking in, folks, means where the drummer and the bass player are right on that beat, exactly in the same spot, and it really sounds wonderful when it happens. It also feels great when it happens.
Yeah.
And that Monty had become, by this time, Monty had really become his bass player. Like they worked together a lot after that.
Yeah.
And of course, as we know, Victor Feldman was filling in for Russ Freeman, who I remember just worked with Shelley all the way through, all the years.
Is he still around?
Who Russ is, yeah. Russ has become like he has something to do. He's like a union officer now,
Not playing.
I mean, no. Well, he's playing. And he writes. He does a lot of writing, like for television and things like that. You got to realize that Russ is also 60-ish now, and Monty has to be in his late 50s, and of course we lost Richie Camuca in his 40s. And Conti, but Joe Gordon we lost in a fire, which was a drag. That's something that shouldn't have happened, but it did. And then Conti Condoli took his place.
Yeah.
So he's on later records with Shelley.
Yeah.
But and Conti's a great player, and Conti's still active.
Yes. Yes, Conti plays great. It's 2:35. We're listening to Shelley Mann with Mel Lewis on the history of jazz drums. Right now we're going to go to probably, I'd say, the best known, well, not I shouldn't say the best known Shelley Mann record. It's my favorite, and everyone I know is favorite, but I don't know whether it's the best known. It came out on Impulse back in the early 60s called Shelley Mann 234. And he picked the musicians for the record date. And I think it's even been reissued, if I'm not mistaken. It was recorded in February 1962. And we're going to hear 2 tracks, depending on the time, actually. We might just, let's see, 7, it's 42. Okay, yeah, we'll have time for these 2. The first one is Cherokee, and it's Coleman Hawkins on the tenor saxophone. So Shelley, I guess, was reciprocating because his first record date was with Coleman Hawkins.
That's right.
And now he had a chance to hire Coleman Hawkins. And his rhythm mates are 2 guys who Mel worked with a lot, and also who Shelley worked with towards the end of his life. They went to Europe as a rhythm section, George Duvivier and Hank Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great pair. And Shelley's very well recorded on this. George Pyros is the engineer. He's very good. So we'll hear Cherokee done in a very individualistic way here. The tempo changes and stuff with Hawk, Hank Jones, George Duvivier, and Shelley Mann. And then something very interesting called Me and Some Drums. And this is a continuation of like the coloristic thing Mel was talking about with the Stan Kenton artistry and percussion, kind of an extended, an extended drum solo with Shelley Mann on drums and Coleman Hawkins on piano and tenor sax. It's very interesting. So we're going to focus on Shelley Mann with Coleman Hawkins and Friends, 1962.
that was history right there. Well, that gives you, like they suited each other so beautifully on that. I mean, that was two. When you think of just, I mean, I know that was a non-rehearsed date. That was all improvised, everything, and you couldn't have got a better group of people together. I don't know who was that, a Thiel? Yeah, I figured, and because Shelley came in from the coast, obviously, to do that at the time.
Yeah.
And but that's where he was at. I mean, that's the kind of thing I was talking about earlier about him watching film and doing. A lot of people don't realize they're sitting home watching films. Even today, old movies, and you hear somebody playing it's like drums in the background. It was him.
Yeah.
He could just see and create. It just came to him very easy. And of course, that combination of him and now the only other guy that I think could have done that would have been Max. So they were really two of a kind.
Yeah.
But out of two different backgrounds, naturally. I mean, we all know that. Shelley came up with his father was a drummer, and of course he grew up in a house that percussion was there. Max had to struggle and lived in a little small place where he had a hard time just practicing, But they both had tremendous minds, and were thinking very musically. And it was just the fruits, Of course, Max is still with us, and Shelley was taken away like so ridiculously.
Yeah.
I mean,
Suddenly.
because he was playing probably better than ever at the time he died, and nobody could figure out. Well, it was another case where if you don't go to the doctor, folks, you don't know what's wrong with you inside, and all of a sudden you're gone.
Yeah.
You gotta. Those yearly checkups are quite important.
He had a heart attack.
He had a heart attack,
Yeah.
exactly, and
Yes,
he didn't know anything was wrong with his heart.
Yeah.
So the last I had spoken to him shortly before that happened, he had had an accident with a horse because he loved horses. He and his wife Flip were into horses. And they had in fact, where he lived, they had like a place for the horses in the back. He used to go riding all the time, and something happened. And he got hurt. One of the horses, he fell off, or he got dragged, or
Oh yes.
something happened, and it sort of screwed him up for a while. And I called him to find out if he was all right, and that was the last time I spoke to him. And I'm very happy that in Milt Hinton's book called, wonderful book, in Milt Hinton's wonderful book called Baseline, the picture he has of me in there is a picture of Shelley and I
Yeah.
talking, just casually talking to each other at one of those festivals out in the West there.
Yeah,
I think
it's
I think it was a Dick Gibson thing.
It's a beautiful picture.
So, and then of course, so he was a tremendous loss, because Shelley was also, somebody you could learn something from, and he was never against letting you know how to do things and how he did things and what he thought about music. Max is still doing that. Max is an educator, and I think that's very important that we older drummers, loan our mouths, our minds to the younger generation. However, it's up to the young generation to come out and hunt us out and ask questions. There's too many young guys that think they know it all,
It would be hard to imagine that there's someone out there listening who doesn't know this, but of course Mel Lewis and the Jazz Orchestra are appearing every Monday night at the Village Vanguard, now going on to their 22nd year?
No,
23rd?
we're in our 24th.
In the
So-
20th.
So when we have this
I've never
next
been good with
anniversary,
numbers.
the next anniversary, which will be the end of 24 years, we go
Yeah.
into the 25th,
25th year.
which is a landmark. It's a landmark, whatever you want to call it. What do we call it?
It's an institution.
Yeah.
And it's Mel Lewis and the Jazz Orchestra at the Village Vanguard. Now, this coming Monday, one of Mel's disciples,
Yeah.
one of a gentleman who I thanked before for helping with the show, Kenny Washington, will be filling in for Mel. as
Yeah,
Mel
I'll be,
goes.
because Mel will be in Paris,
Mel will
along with such stalwarts as Clark Terry and Phil Woods and people
Yeah.
like that. We're working with Jay McShann. We're doing a
That's
tribute to
great.
Charlie Parker. I'll be back the
We'll
week
be back
after that.
the week after
Yeah.
that. We're going to go out of this show with something else from Shelly Manne, an outstanding item from the album Empathy, Bill Evans with Monty Budwig and Shelly Manne. And this is the first record that Evans made after Scott LaFaro had died.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just beautiful work. So we'll go out with that. And Mel, we'll see you back here in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I'll be back.
And we'll pick up right where we left off with Art Blakey, Tiny Khan, and maybe Roy Haynes in that show.
That would be nice, yeah.
Yeah, not a bad trio.
No, no.
So, Mel, have a good trip to Paris.
Thanks, Lauren.
And
And
thanks for
folks,
this
yeah.
afternoon, man.
It
And
was as usual. It's so wonderful, because I'm hearing tracks I hadn't heard,
Yeah.
or at least in a long time or at all. So
Yeah.
then to be able to state my thoughts about them, it's a nice feeling. Yeah.
Here we go with Bill Evans, Shelly Manne, and Monty Budwig with a song in my heart. And again, we're throwing the spotlight, the focus on the drums. Thanks for listening, folks. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Thank you.